Sam Bankman-Fried, also known as SBF, founded FTX in 2019 and served as a CEO ever since. However, the crypto exchange suffered a monumental meltdown this month, which caused SBF's $16 billion fortune to vanish overnight. This forced him to declare Chapter 11 bankruptcy on November 11th. SBF also stepped down from his position as CEO and handed over the reins to John Ray III, a lawyer from Chicago. But who is he, and why was he appointed FTX's new CEO? John Ray III is a Chicago-based lawyer who served as the restructuring officer in several high-profile bankruptcy cases. He is often referred to as the turnaround titan for successfully mopping up some of the biggest corporate collapses in U.S. history. He's best known for leading Enron, the disgraced energy giant, through its infamous bankruptcy proceedings and handing back a large chunk of money to the shareholders. And what does John think about the current FTX collapse? Well, he stated, "Never in my career have I ever seen such a complete failure of corporate controls." So now we're going to dive into FTX's bankruptcy filing report, and you're going to see some pretty shocking things that John Ray, the new FTX CEO, outlined. I have over 40 years of legal and restructuring experience. I have supervised situations involving allegations of criminal activity and malfeasance, and never in my career have I seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information as occurred here. He goes on to speak about the disbursement controls and highlights that, for example, employees of the FTX group submitted payment requests through an online chat platform where a disparate group of supervisors approved disbursements by responding with personalized emojis. What that means is that expense reports and expenses were approved via emoji. In the Bahamas, I understand that the corporate funds of FTX group were used to purchase homes and other personal items for employees and its advisors. When he highlights the specific assets, there's a specific note in the table that I want to highlight here. 3 loans by Alameda Research Limited, one to Sam Bankman-Fried of $1 billion, one to Mr. Singh, who's also an FTX executive, of $543 million, and one to Ryan Salami of $55 million, who was also an FTX executive. Just over $1.6 billion worth of personal loans just to the executives of the firms themselves. In the section on information and retention of documents, one of the most pervasive failures of FTX.com business in particular is the absence of lasting records of decision-making. Mr. Bankman-Fried often communicated by using applications that were set to auto-delete after a short period of time and encouraged employees to do the same. Now think of this, that one of the worst findings was that there's really no record of who made a particular decision within FTX. SBF used these applications that auto-deleted messages and asked these employees to also do the same. Imagine running a 1,000+ corporation just on Snapchat where all of the messages deleted over a 24-hour period. In the financial reporting section, John states that the audit firm for the .com silo was Prager Metis, a firm with which I am not familiar and whose website indicates that they are a, quote, first ever CPA firm to officially open its metaverse headquarters in the metaverse platform Decentraland. What this suggested that there was probably some minimal auditing that was done, but also it was done by firms with questionable reputation. In the section on the actions taken since Mr. Bankman-Fried's departure, many of the companies in the FTX group, especially those organized in Antigua and the Bahamas, did not have appropriate corporate governance. I understand that many entities, for example, never had any board meetings whatsoever. In the human resources section, he stated that at this time, the debtors have been unable to prepare a complete list of who worked for the FTX group as of the petition date or the terms of their employment. So really, their corporate controls were so bad that the bankruptcy firms do not even have a full list of all their employees. Again, imagine running a multi-billion-dollar company not even knowing which employees work for you or how their contracts are structured. In the digital asset custody section, he stated that the FTX group did not keep appropriate books and records or security controls with respect to digital assets. Mr. Bankman-Fried and Mr. Wong controlled access to digital assets of the main businesses within the FTX group. It is an unsecured group email account as the root user to access confidential private keys and critically sensitive data for the FTX group companies around the world. The use of software to conceal the misuse of customer funds, the secret exemption of Alameda from certain aspects of FTX.com, auto liquidation protocol, and the absence of independent governance between Alameda, which 90% was owned by Sam Bankman-Fried, 10% by Mr. Wong, and the .com silo, in which the other third parties had invested. So what this essentially means is that SBF and Mr. Wong had complete control over the assets and used backdoor software to conceal the misuse of consumer funds. In regards to the consolidated assets as of September 30th, he stated, "I've been provided with an unaudited consolidated balance sheet for the WRS silo as of September 30, 2022, which is the latest balance sheet available. The balance sheet shows $1.36 billion in total assets as of that date. However, because this balance sheet was produced while the debtors were controlled by Mr. Bankman-Fried, I do not have confidence in it, and the information therein may not be correct as of the date stated." And when he speaks about a little bit more details about the debtors, he stated that the debtors have secured in cold new wallets approximately $740 million of cryptocurrency that the debtors believe is attributable to either the WRS, Alameda, and or .com silos. At least $372 million of unauthorized transfers initiated on the petition date, during which time the debtors immediately began moving cryptocurrency into cold storage to mitigate the risk to the remaining cryptocurrency that was accessible at that time. The dilutive minting of approximately $300 million in FTT tokens by an unauthorized source after the petition date, and the failure of the co-founders and potentially others to identify additional wallets believed to contain debtors' assets. In response, the debtors have engaged forensics analysis to identify potential debtor assets on the blockchain. So really only $740 million worth of crypto has been identified in actual cold wallets. There was also an unauthorized transfer of over $372 million in cryptos on the day that the company filed for bankruptcy. So this means there could have been a flight of the actual assets. And in closing, under corporate communication, John states that finally and critically, the debtors have made clear to employees and the public that Mr. Bankman-Fried is not employed by the debtors and does not speak for them. I declare under the perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. So although all these crazy things that John Ray is outlining throughout this court filing, he is saying that under penalty of perjury that the foregoing information is true and correct. All in all, it does look like SPF knew what he was doing and did everything from not keeping records, auto-deleting messages, and backdooring access to avoid getting caught. This court case and this bankruptcy is definitely going to be one for the history books. And if you'd like to see the full document, I will post the FTX bankruptcy court filing as of November 17, 2022 in the description below. So stay tuned for more updates on this unraveling of FTX.com and how it's going to impact the greater crypto market. If you like this video, smash that like button, comment below, and subscribe to see more content like this in the future. Thanks, and have a great day.